Okay, so welcome everyone to today's honor management presentation of 3D Aerospace. I'm very excited today for the presentation. Ben, the CEO of 3D Aerospace, will start with a short pitch presentation that will take about 10 minutes shortly. Before that, I just want to remind everyone that this session is going to be recorded and afterwards be presented on the Funder Nation website. And then I wanted to have a quick word about the potential to ask questions directly to the management. So there are actually two options to pose questions after the short pitch. So either you could just type in your questions in the chat function, and then I, as the moderator, will pose them to Ben or Tsveta, depending on the nature of the questions. And if you want to pose questions directly to the management, that's also possible. Then it would be great if you could just raise your hand and then I can hand over the word to you. But saying this, I will also hand over to Ben to give us the presentation.
Thank you, Konstantin. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Benjamin Kewak. I'm the founder and CEO of 3D Aerospace, a company which I created back in 2018. And we provide geolocation services and connected maps. And today I've got the pleasure as well to have Tsveta on my side. I will let Tsveta to introduce herself.
Thank you, Ben. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for taking the time and being here with us. My name is Tsveta Ivanova. I'm the CFO of 3D Aerospace. My background is in banking, treasury, financing, and investments. So I'm very much looking forward to working with Ben further on this and today's presentation. So thank you. Giving it backward to you.
Thanks, Tsveta. Then let me present my screen and then we can go through the presentation together. Today with us, or not with us, sorry, but part of the executive team of 3D Aerospace is as well Viticulture, who is in charge of the operations at 3D Aerospace. Today's presentation, I would like to then provide a bit more insight about the services of 3D Aerospace and the brand we are developing currently, Divines, which is a brand specifically providing the appliance of our technology to smart farming and more particularly to smart viticulture. Currently in viticulture or smart farming area, we have four main challenges. The first challenge is related actually to the fluctuation of the number of grapes and the number of the maturity of the grapes in the vineyards. None of our customers and none of the winemakers currently know exactly the number of grapes he or she will harvest during the harvesting season. And from time to time, then between the first count of the flowers to the harvest season, we have fluctuation of number of grapes plus or minus 15%, which provide a lot of logistic constraints as well as quality constraints. The second issue is with the detection of missing trees or dead trees or the detection of diseases in the vineyard. Currently, there is a manual detection or manual counting of missing trees in the vineyard, as well as manual observation of potential diseases in the vineyards. And there is always a lapse of time between when the disease appears and when the disease is detected, which creates a significant impact both on the quality and the quantity of grapes which might collect at the end of the harvest. The third issue we face in the world of viticulture and more particularly in the world of farming is most of the work is performed remotely on the land directly. And we have a lot of workers working with tools remotely then displayed in the farm, and there is a very difficult and rather poor communication and coordination between all of these workers and their tool in the farm, which at the end creates some inefficiencies, lack of communication, lack of quality of the work. Last but not least, then we have in today's world a lot of increasing regulation with respect to how much quantity and the type of pesticide or herbicides we can use. So the urge to minimize the impact on the environment and to become greener is today a reality. And then 3D Aerospace, through the brand Divines, will support this green actually revolution by providing solution to reduce the usage of pesticides and herbicides in the vineyards. So what is our solution? Our solution is composed of 3 elements. The first element is our EMS receiver, which is retrofitted directly on an existing tractor or an existing quad. With this EMS receiver, we collect 2 streams of information, some pictures, as well as the positioning thanks to the GNSS satellites in order to geolocate exactly the location of the tractor in the field. We send these pictures as well as this positioning to our cloud database. In the cloud database, we have developed some artificial intelligence to post-process automatically these pictures and to detect automatically key indicators such as presence or absence of diseases, presence or absence of trace, as well as number of grapes and the level of maturity of grapes. And we provide all of this information into a high definition vineyard map in as well 3 dimensions. And these maps are available both on our smartphone application as well as on a website application. So we have 3 elements: our EMS receiver, our smartphone application, and our database. What is the impact? What we are aiming actually to provide to our customers is an automatic detection and geolocation of missing trees and dead plants, to have a better communication through our smartphone application between all the workers in the farm, to minimize by a factor of 25% the usage of pesticides and herbicides in the vineyards, and to provide all of these customer needs into an all-in-one solution provided by Divines. If we go more into the ecosystem of Divines, we have these 3 elements at the very center of Divines. Our EMS receiver, which is powered by the GNSS satellites, who provide stream of data to our database with respect to then pictures and geolocation. In the database, we post-process automatically this information, and we provide the results to our smartphone application, visible by our customer 24/7. In terms of where we are today and in terms of technology, since the beginning of the campaign, we have made significant progress, both on the business side as well as on the technical side. What you can see on this slide is our first prototype of our EMS receiver. This is the actually device we retrofit on quads and tractors to our customers. So what we have on the element 5 is magnetic pads and suction cups, which we deploy directly on the top or on the boot of the tractor of a quad to attach automatically this device without changing anything in terms of mechanical structure of a tractor, and we do not need as well to connect electrically this EMS receiver to the tractor because we have our own batteries located in actually the housing number 3. And what you can see here actually is the 7 cameras surrounding this EMS receiver. So every time the tractor is in motion or the quad is in motion, we are recording pictures from these 7 cameras, which provide actually a 360 degrees view of the tractor to record everything happening surrounding the tractors. As the tractors is actually driving through the land and the vineyard, then we are recording all the information visible in this land of vineyard. And finally, in number 1, we have actually our very high accuracy GPS GNSS antenna, which record the position in real time of our receiver within 30 centimeter accuracy. And then these 2 actual information, the precise geolocation and then images, are sent to the database. In practice, when the tractor is navigating through the vineyards, we are recording then, thanks to our EMS receiver, all this information related to the visible information in the vineyards, which can be then the presence of diseases presence in the vineyard, as well as the number of grapes and the color code of the grapes. And then we send this automatically through a Wi-Fi connection to the database. how it all works in terms of our technology and business model, and this is really the key to understand here, and this is as well why we are so disruptive in the market, and we have a potential to become one of the biggest company in the smart farming industry in the next few years, is the more EMS receiver we deploy, the more database pictures we will collect. And from these actually pictures, we will extract all the relative information to our customers, which can be then the missing trees, which can be the diseases detection, which can be any type of anomaly detection, which can be as well the number of grapes and the maturity. And the more pictures we have, the more training we can perform on our algorithm to become more efficient and more accurate. And the more actually accurate the algorithm become, the more customers will become interested by our services. And this is then a loop, because then the more customer we have, the more EMS receiver we deploy, the more EMS receiver we deploy, the more data we collect from our customers, the more data we collect from our customers, better the algorithm will become. So then how does it work practically speaking? In our cloud database, we have few then algorithm equipped with machine learning skills to detect automatically trees, metal post, wooden post, grapes, as well as the location. So we will apply actually this machine learning algorithm in the cloud, and from what we will identify from this algorithm, we will actually provide the location of the detection thanks to our GNSS GPS receiver. And we will provide this type of maps to our customers, which is a simplified map of the vineyards with the indication of the key indicators identified by the algorithm. What you can see here on the bottom right is actually every red dots correspond to a missing tree identified and geolocated by the cloud database algorithm. What you can see here on the top is the difference of number of grapes as well as the maturity as visible by the machine on the EMS receiver and as projected to the customers. And this is a key information, is because right now today the customer applies the same level of fertilizers, chemical products, herbicides, pesticides in the vineyards in a homogeneous way, but in reality, actually the parcel needs is not homogeneous, but heterogeneous. And if we have this level of information, then the customer can apply the right product on the right quantity at the right location, minimizing both the usage of pesticides and herbicides, while actually decreasing the cost in terms of buying chemical products. Just to give you a slight example of how the machine learning algorithm work. So here what you see is a camera attached actually to the tractor going through the field. We are recording at the time two ranks, the right rank and the left ranks. And actually our machine algorithm will automatically detect what we call the infrastructures. So the trees, the wooden post, the metallic post, and thanks to our GPS receiver, we will just position these trees, this metal post and wooden post directly into the map. Today we have a detection rate of 92% for trees and about 85% for metal post and wooden post. Once we have actually this working and we have the number of trees, grapes, missing trees, presence or not of diseases, we have developed this machine, this smartphone algorithm, where the most interesting part actually is related to the geolocation then of all the missing trees, the number of grapes per hectare, and what you have as well in terms of real-time information of the presence of the employees. And all of this information here, it's updated in real time for the geolocation of employees as well as the presence of diseases. And this application is updated every time we have a new data set, and a new data set is provided every time the tractor goes to work in the field. So normally with our alpha customers, we can provide every week an updated map of a vineyard in order to better manage on the day-to-day basis the farming vineyard company. That was then the let's say quick introduction and a quick overview then of all the services we provide today at Divines. We have much more information as well on our website, and then we have times now for any types of questions.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ben, for the presentation and the very interesting insights. So now for everyone that was a bit late, we'll now have the time to post questions. Either you have the chance to post the questions directly to the management. While doing so, it would be great if you can use the raise your hand feature, and then I can hand over the word to you. And besides that, there's also the possibility to just pose your questions in the chat. And then I, as the moderator of today's session, will just hand them over to 3D Aerospace and Ben or Sveta respectively. Okay, so if there are no questions, we already received some questions in advance. That the first question is related to the alpha customers that you already acquired. So Ben and Sveta, your first alpha customers are already using Divines for about 7 weeks now. So they're deploying the service in their vineyards. Could you please tell us a bit about their feedback and how much adaptation of the service is still needed to satisfy their demands?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Konstantin. So 2021 was rather a bad year in terms of viticulture because we had a frozen wave, which impacted significantly actually most of the French vineyards where we have our alpha customers currently. Nevertheless, actually, we had already good feedback. We had provided already a first level of services related to the detection of missing trees. And it's very actually rewarding when we had the discussion with our alpha customers is to the level that, for example, today they do not have knowledge of how many trees do they have and how many missing trees do they not have in the vineyard. So already with this level of information we provided through our first actually elaboration of service, we had already a very positive feedback. We had as well very deep discussion about then the organization of the map. We are of course looking forward then to the second service, which is related to the counting on the number of grapes as well as the maturity. But today, they are very much exciting about the first information we provided to them is really corresponding to the customer needs. They need to know how many missing trees, by the way, they have in the vineyard in order to replace them for next year. So they have this needs constantly to know exactly how many trees and where they are in order to maintain, let's say, the health of the vineyard. So I touch wood, so far so good. We had a very great start of the beginning of our alpha customer experimentation campaign and very positive feedback, which confirm first the customer needs in terms of what they really need and how we position ourselves with respect to this need.
Okay, thanks a lot. That's very interesting. So I still don't see any questions from the audience. If so, please indicate. Then Ben and Sveta will be happy to tackle them. Then maybe, Ben, could you please elaborate a bit on or Sveta, maybe this case, what are the next steps in going through the market? So the market launch is planned for Q4 this year. So what are the next steps for reaching that, and what can you actually reach with the currently obtained roughly 80,000 euros in funding through the platform?
Thank you, Konstantin. Let me take these questions. So in terms of maybe starting first with on the financial part. So it's always a bit tricky what we can achieve with the 80,000, but because we work with cash flow projections, and based on our base case, which more or less matches where we are right now, well, hopefully we can reach 100,000, which is exactly our base case. And that is being then matched by BPI, that's the French public investment bank, which basically would match everything that has been obtained through fund donation. So with that, we hope to be able to support our operations through actually almost mid next year. And it's more about, well, we have operations, so we have ongoing costs, we have employees that we need to that we support, we have, of course, rent, and next to that, not most important even actually, well, obviously we need to develop the prototypes, which includes manufacturing costs, and these are increasing as we speak. As you're probably all aware, we are seeing some challenges with sourcing. So what would actually be very helpful from our side here is to be able to plan as soon as possible for next year how many of the products we would need, and pre-order in advance. So basically, any additional investment would be used for that. And in terms of what are the next steps and milestones, well, of course, most important is to finalize the season with the testing with our alpha customers. So that would be then, as Ben already mentioned, detecting the missing trees, but also going through counting the grapes and the maturity of the grapes. So these are the next very important phases. And with that, then we will be able to build it up to really going into how much the pesticides can be used for a specific plant. So that would help very much for the next service development. And of course, we need to, yeah, as I mentioned, we need to secure the orders for next year as pre-ordering. And last but not least, of course, funding. So securing fund donation funding, and then the matching from BPI.
Okay, thanks a lot. Then, yeah, Mr. Wilborg, I would like to hand over to you, so you could just unmute your microphone and pose your question directly.
Yeah, thank you. Very interesting stuff. And I have a question. You mentioned about the satellite data. How are you using that in this? What can complement to the rather high resolution cameras and sensors you already have?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the question. So we developed all the technology in-house at 3D Aerospace, so we have a full ownership of our technology. And one of the aspects of actually the very high accuracy positioning is we need to develop very specific algorithm to reach the 30 centimeter accuracy. In order to reach this 30 centimeter accuracy in real time, we need a lot of satellite data from actually Galileo, GPS included, but most likely the Galileo satellites, the European Galileo satellites. Galileo satellites provide a new service called the high accuracy service, which actually provide you a very high accuracy positioning of your receiver without the need of having a local correction station. Right now in the industry, what they have is they have a static station which provide this correction, but this station costs about 10 to 15,000 euros. In our case, we are using this new Galileo satellite service in order to have this centimeter accuracy without the need of having this static station. So that's the first usage of satellites. In my previous actually work, I used to work for the European Space Agency for 5 years, and this is where I acquire all this satellite knowledge about Galileo. And with this aspect, actually, we have one contract with the European Commission, because we will become the first company in Europe to use this new Galileo satellite service to have this real-time 30 centimeter accuracy. So that's the first aspect where we use deeply the technology of Galileo in our receiver. The second aspect, which will come a bit later, is we have a possibility to fuse and couple the pictures from the EMS with the pictures from Earth observation constellations. We have a lot of synergies between the Copernicus data and actually our local cameras. Our cameras are working in the visible range, but if you actually fuse the precision of our camera, which is 3 micrometer by 3 micrometer in terms of pixel size, with actually the hyperspectrum coming from Copernicus, you can ever go deeper in the analysis you can provide for smart farming purposes. So space is really actually one of the pillars in terms of foundation of our project here.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. The reason I'm asking is I'm also a founder of a company. We won the Copernicus Masters in 2014 with an idea with using radar data to monitoring forests. So that's the field I'm currently working in, and we have done some tests with using radar data to acquire soil moisture and phenology studies using Sentinel-1 and 2. And I was just curious if you have used this kind of data to have additional information.
That's a very good point. By the way, we are as well a Galileo Master winner. So you see, the world is small. It's definitely a possibility, and we have one of our competitors who use actually Sentinel-2B data and 2A data to provide smart farming services. They couple this data with Pleiad of observation as well on top of it to have very low resolution. Currently, we have already a lot of challenges with, let's say, the calibration of our own camera, as well as we have a lot of vibration on the tractor, for which we need actually to remove before post-processing the data. Once we have actually a very stable base for which we can extract the information, this is when we plan actually to plug some Earth observation data, not necessarily internally through maybe collaboration, because we do not have necessarily the skills in-house. And of course, then we can welcome collaboration, but there is room here. And we are not competitors of observation data. We are complementary to them in terms of what we can offer.
Perfect. So I will send you my contacts, and I'm in Sweden, and actually Sweden is an emerging wine country. So we have at least 20 vineyards here in southern Sweden. So when the climate is getting hotter, there is some which is really enjoying that. So. Yeah, so
very nice. And then you know where to invest then for the best smart farming company in the vineyards. Yeah, plus you can contact me for anytime. I'm happy to discuss offline for opportunities as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mr. Wilborg, for the extensive questions. Are there additional questions from the audience currently? Other than that, Ben and Sveta, it would be great if you could go a bit into detail on the environmental potential or the environmental saving potential of your solution. Could you maybe elaborate how big the savings actually are on the field when it comes to the use of pesticides and herbicides, and maybe go a bit more into detail on the sustainability gains versus the current status of vineyards?
Yeah, thank you. So based on the initial analysis that we have been running, we estimate to decrease the pesticide usage by 25%, as Ben mentioned earlier. But to be fair, it's not about the economic savings. It's really about being able to limit the environment footprint, and that's what we want to achieve. I mean, we all see in Europe more and more focus on how to minimize the environmental footprint. And for example, I'm based in the Netherlands, and here we've been having lots of cases where farmers have to decrease the environmental footprint, and it gets to the point where you either have to decrease it or you have to manage less land, for example. So the question is no more about economic savings, but really how can we limit these pesticides, herbicides, and that's where Divines comes into play. And we really think that by using it, it can help to other agricultural markets, expanding to other agricultural markets as well. And we were actually even contacted by a pesticides producer as well, and they were interested in partnership in principle to see the efficiency. And on one side you think, well, that's not who you want to be associated with, because we really want to help in principle the environment. But on the other hand, every saving that you can make with in terms of using chemicals, that's we all win from that. So there's lots of opportunities on one side working with farmers, but there are also opportunities to work with producers where you can really limit the usage as much as it's really needed, and that would help, well, overall everybody.
Yeah.
And to add something?
Yeah, on top of that, practically speaking, how does it work is, in the vineyard, in the parcel, you do not have the same level of maturity, the same level of yield across actually all the land. And right now this is not visible because the farmer do not have time to count, for example, the number of leaves and the density of the green of the leaves, or count the number of grapes you have, or then assess the maturity of the grapes. So the easier solution for farmers today is just apply the same quantity everywhere in the farm, regardless of the needs. And then practically speaking, what we would deliver actually to them to minimize the usage of pesticides and herbicides is this actually type of map where you have the needs in terms of fertilizers, or then the need where you will have to apply actually products to kill certain diseases, and we will provide the geolocation of where the need is. And is by providing actually this type of information, then for sure we will minimize the amount of chemical products used in the vineyard without compromising on the quality of the management of the vineyard. That's the key, because vineyard owners do not want to lower the quality of the wine at the end of the day. And what we are proposing is actually a solution maintaining the expectation of the quality while minimizing actually the impact on the environment.
Okay, so from that I get that it's an ecological and an economical saving in the end, but the focus is on the ecological aspect. Am I correct with that?
Depending if you are talking to our customers. But no, yeah, that joke aside, of course, farmers, they are the first one, because vineyard is not a commodity. So it's here for many and many years. So there is as well an incentive for them to make sure that the impact on the land, on the crops, are as small as possible to maintain the lifetime of the wine trees. So it's an environmental, ecological, and economic.
It's a win-win.
Okay. So saying this, obviously the ecological aspect is very important, but also for vineyard owners, we can assume that the economical aspect is very important. So how long does it actually take for a vineyard owner to have your service amortized when using it? Like, when does it actually pay off for them using it?
Yeah, sure. The payback period actually is proportional to the number of hectares you have in the vineyard. As what we are doing is just then automizing actually the visible indicators of a vineyard into a map. The bigger the vineyard is, then the more useful these services we will provide through Aerospace will become accessible. If we take an example of an owner with 10 hectares then of vineyards, after 1 year or after 1 full year of using the Divine services, it will become worth it. Of course, if you take then an owner with only 1 hectare of vineyards, then the payback period will be longer. But at the end, as we're looking for longer term relationship, it will pay back. But for 10 hectares, then after 12 months, the payback is guaranteed.
Okay, maybe saying this, it's quickly, yeah, it's important to quickly mention your business model for everyone who isn't familiar with the business model. Maybe you could just elaborate that real quick, Ben. It would be great.
So do you want to start? Or should I start?
Sure. Yeah, so basically what we're offering is a monthly subscription where basically we would stay the owner of the receiver, and then it would be, well, we would be matching the needs based on the vineyard. So the pricing strategy that we are currently, basically we are trying to make it sharper and more suited to our customers. So we're looking into saying, well, okay, with a number of defined objectives, if the vineyard is bigger than 5 or 10 hectares of bigger, then how many receivers would you need? Then would that be suited for every vineyard or not? And we're really working on optimizing this for every specific customer. And basically, we are going to be staying the owner of the technology and also the data. This way, with the idea being, of course, that our algorithm can learn as fast as possible from all the data that we're gathering. But of course, we are conscious of the privacy, so the data would not be then shared or anything whatsoever. So it stays for our use and learning of the algorithms.
Yeah, just to complement you on that, at the beginning when we started actually for Aerospace and when we started Divines, one of the first feedbacks we received from our customers is they do not want to pay 10,000 euros one-off, have the equipment, wait 2 or 3 years, and then the equipment becoming obsolete. And so we have this financial barrier really at the beginning, and what they really want is a service. They do not want actually to invest into a hardware, but they want to invest into a service which then be useful on the day-to-day basis. And when we started with this then idea in our head, then we said, well, maybe to sell the hardware may not be the most then appealing approach to sell Divines to our customers. So very quickly said, well, actually the hardware is only a vector of data. This is only a collector of data, which is useful for our services, but is not really the added value. What we are really actually providing is services for the day-to-day management of a vineyard. So this is how actually we came up with a package which included, as I mentioned, then some memory in the database, 1 or 2 or several EMS receiver, and the smartphone application, and we provide that for leasing on a monthly basis through a contract. And then in that contract, we will include X services depending on the needs of a customer. And then the plan from our side is once we have the data, when we collect the data, actually, it's very useful for us to develop additional services based on the data we collected already. So once we have the data locked in our database, then we can offer multiple services. And the aim of Divines and for the Aerospace is actually every 2 years to have at least 3 new services proposed to our existing and new customers to maintain this attraction and to maintain actually our position on the market.
And maybe just one thing to mention, I'm not sure if that became clear, but basically the pricing would be also adapted based on the services required. So if one customer requires 2 of the services that we offer, then the pricing would also be adapted. And if they require all of them, then so on and so forth. Really customized.
Okay, great. So it's not a big upfront investment for the farmers and their seasonal business. Okay, perfect. And then an additional question would be in regards to the word of mouth that is happening in the vineyard industry. So as mentioned previously, you already deployed your solution with some alpha customers. Are there also additional customers on top that are approaching you based on their positive feedback?
Yep. And I will take this question, Konstantin, just maybe to finish on your last question, on your previous question, sorry, because you added something very true in your last comment. With Divines at the end, actually, each customer will save about 750 euros per hectare. And what the pricing strategy now of our Divine services start about at 330 euros per hectare. So it shows you that actually we can save them about 700 euros 50, and then we will start with 330 euros at the minimum package. So this gives you already a bit of, let's say, numbers to see where we position our services. Going back then to your question, yeah, we was, I will say, victim of our own communication campaign success. We had few articles actually published in the French specialized magazines about viticulture and wine industry about our technology, and we receive tens of requests from actually potential customers who wanted to have more information, and then were willing actually to have a field demonstration test with our technology. So we didn't expect that. It's a good surprise, I would say. I wouldn't complain about having so much positive feedback. We had as well feedback from cross industries. I think Sveta mentioned it, but we have as well chemical products manufacturer who contacted us to see if we can collaborate with them in order to assess the efficiency of a product. We had as well insurance company who contacted us to see if we can provide these digital high definition maps to the insurance company in order to assess remotely actually the impacts and the risk of a vineyard, and in order to provide better premium assessment to the customers. We have as well cross industries communication with farmers growing actually fruits trees who would like to see if we can extend our product to fruits as well. We were very under huge demands from this word of mouth. I think this is a very important factor in the farming industries. So far, our focus is to stay on the development of our foundation, on our alpha customers to have robust services, and to make sure that we are ready to commercialize our services by the end of this year. And then next year, actually, we will think about scalability and then going actually to an extra level. One aspect which is key in our business is we need to deliver on what we say we will deliver. If we under-deliver, this word of mouth can be negatively impacted us as well. So the focus really on our company is to work hand in hand with our alpha customers to show, as we showed today, actually the earlier results, to have this positive feedback. We had already planned to go on a very huge event in November to commercialize our services. And in the meantime, what we did is we have a newsletter provided to our potential customers, and we organize as well regular events to show them our progress, to make sure that we maintain this link between the potential customers and us.
Okay, that was a very extensive answer. Thanks a lot. Then I would like to hand over the word to Mr. Alvine.
Yeah, hello. I have a very practical question from the viewpoint of an investor. So in case I would invest, how would then going forward be the communication to the investors? So for example, when would I know if there would be some interest payment, yes or no? How are your plans for the communication?
So in general, from our perspective, we are planning to continue. So now all our investors receive a weekly update, actually. It's a newsletter, and we plan to continue to keep all our investors up to date continuously. And Konstantin, maybe you want to add how it goes for the platform if you do any additional communication, but on our side, we would continue doing this weekly information.
Oh, that's really great. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Sveta, thanks a lot. Maybe I can elaborate a bit on that, because doing a weekly communication is not required by us as the platform. But what we do require is obviously to upload the annual statements of the companies. So in this case, Mr. Alwan, if you would invest into 3D Aerospace, 3D Aerospace is obliged to upload the annual statement in the investor relations portal as of the 15th of May each year. So that's definitely something that, all investors will have a look into quite timely, to be honest. And then the company is also obliged to upload quarterly reportings to the investors that include both financial data, but also because in startups, the financials only show one side of the medal. The other side is definitely the qualitative reporting about new alpha customers and so on, which don't directly pay onto, say, revenues or net profits. So these are the two requirements. And then, of course, if there are any interest payments, you will get information about that 1 month after the fiscal year ends. So timely.
And one addition as well for Mr. Alufine. In case when you will invest significantly to our company, I think we plan for any investors who invest 10,000 euros to the company, you will be invited as well to the executive board meeting. Then you will not only receive, let's say, the financial report, but you will have access as well to the internal strategic, let's say, communication and decisions we will plan for our company. So depending on which level of investment, if you go, I will say, not to the extreme, but to the 10,000 euros mark, then we will invite you. We had already a couple of investors who invested 10,000 euros, and then they will be part of then the executive meeting, and they will have access as well, visibility to the planning, strategy, communication, and where we go. So transparency is, as any startup, it's part of our, I would say, core pillars, and we will have to provide this feedback, not only actually to provide this information, but as well to have you on board and maybe to bring actually your experience or your view on which direction as well we are going.
Yeah. Great, thanks a lot.
Okay, I hope that answered your question.
Yes, entirely. Thank you.
Perfect. That's very good to hear. So, are there any additional questions from the audience? If we don't have any questions left from the audience, looking at the time, I would actually like to end the session right now. As mentioned in the very beginning, this session was recorded and we'll upload it afterwards. So everyone wants to have a look at the different questions. Can do that afterwards. Yes, sorry. Did you also want to pose a question, Mr. Enuri? Okay, so I assume not. Then still, thanks everyone for attending today's session and posing the questions. And obviously also thanks a lot to Sveta and Ben for the presentation and the extensive answer to those questions.
Konstantin?
Yes?
One maybe final point from my side, if I can.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, of course.
Just to thank then everybody, and thank you, Konstantin, for the organization of this online management meeting. Thank you, of course, to Sveta to be here. One last aspect is when the campaign will be open for 7 days only. After that, actually, we close. So that is our last meeting today for the online management. And only 7 days is remaining as of today for the investment opportunity. So if when you are interested in investing into 3D Aerospace and Divines, I think this week is the best week for you, the best opportunity to support then a young, dynamic, and talented company.
And just maybe to add to that, the reason we're closing also, and for Rush, let's say it's linked to our matching, so further from the BPIs, as we mentioned earlier. So there are deadlines. So please, if you are indeed interested, do let us know within, or do go for the platform within the next week. And thank you again all for your time.
Okay. Yeah, we will also communicate that so everyone knows that the deadline is in 7 days. So in case you want to invest at the current valuation, which is quite attractive for investors, then you can do so for the next coming 7 days. And I suppose if there are any questions open, Ben and Sveta, you're available for a chat about those. Okay. Then thanks a lot again, Sveta and Ben, for the presentation and the answers to the questions, and obviously also thanks to all the investors participating. And yeah, then there's nothing left from my side to wish everyone a great evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.